And we're live. Welcome
All right,
back
all right, all
to
right.
the Doomer Bloomer podcast with Will S. and the resurrection of John Wynn. How are you doing this afternoon, John?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Nice.
I overcame my pizza hangover from Friday
Okay. Yeah.
on Saturday, and yeah, I realize that as I get older, the more my body is a bitch. I
Yeah.
could drink. I could when I used to drink. I could drink huge in like insane amounts of alcohol and maybe even other substances. And I'm not saying I'd be like number one, fresh as a daisy the next day, but I'd still manage. Now I just overeat pizza, and I'm hungover. I feel like I used to feel when I was hungover, like in my early 30s or late 20s or whatnot. So I think it's just a sign that with better living, your body becomes a lot more intolerant when you treat it wrong. So I would I like to see it from that perspective instead of so I'm just getting old and my body is becoming a weak ass bitch or whatnot. But
Your body's a temple. Your body's a temple, John.
yeah, exactly. So a medium size, like maybe half or three quarters of a medium pizza from Boston Pizza is not that bad. But eating three quarters of an extra large pizza might not be the best thing for the temple, which which is called John Wynn, right?
Right. Exactly. Well, I mean, I think we should all be taking better care of our health. I mean, I'm another year older. I just celebrated a birthday
Yep.
and relocated. Relocated. I anyone remembers reference Bill Goes Galt, that episode where I decided to go off the grid? Well, I'm officially pretty much off the grid up
Yep.
here in the Yukon. I made the move north of 60-degree latitude, so but better amenities than where I used to live, which is kind of nice. Better internet connection too.
Really? Because I
Yep.
was going to say, like right now, you are one pixelated motherfucker.
Yeah, but it's not cutting in and out, so we have a stable connection, which is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess. Yeah, well, better than one of those other places for sure.
All right. On the docket tonight, well, this is, if you haven't heard, John, this is season three. We're coming into season three of the podcast. Uh,
Season three would be in April, though,
I wanted to.
around
April?
Easter. You know.
No, well, yeah. I
Yeah,
kind of
then
I kind of skipped the gun. I kind of jumped the
you,
gun on
you,
it.
you got to stick with the program. Come on.
No, nuh it's season three.
All right.
Um,
Well, I guess I lost my say when on my long hiatuses here. So
yeah. And then the state of clown world order. Uh, so what's going
oh
on
yeah.
around clown
Oh,
world?
it's alive and kicking. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hasn't really quit.
Yeah.
Um, I looked up a new term on Urban Dictionary called based. I don't know if you heard that term
Base.
before. Based. What does based mean? So, Urban Dictionary is based, a word used when you agree with something or when you want to recognize someone for being themselves, courageous and unique, not caring what others think, especially common in online political slang. The opposite of cringe, sometimes the opposite of biased.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it. I've seen
So
it. I've seen it.
the opposite of CNN
Yeah,
or a lot of this mainstream media.
or CBC nowadays.
Joe Rogan would be based.
Yeah, Joe Rogan would be based, like
Yeah,
based in reality,
yeah,
not
yeah.
not propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Uh,
no one can be right, like especially someone that's swimming in so many different ideas on a daily and weekly basis, like Joe Rogan. I mean, he can't be right about everything, but I think his the way he approaches various topics and ideas is from a base point of view, right? I,
mhm.
he doesn't feed in and these, be it far left or far right ideologies, to make a decision on what he thinks is the what he thinks about a certain topic, what develops his worldview, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, look, I mean, we've done multiple podcasts. You even more than me, and I mean, opinions can evolve over time. And I've seen many of my opinions, even like within a short year, kind of evolved in different directions. Right? You
Yeah.
can only make we're always making decisions with the facts and the data we have in front of us, and not only that, there's also the filter of our own biases, our own prior information and and opinions and stuff like that. So I mean, it's very hard to make like precise, absolutely objectively informed decisions on every single topic. But I mean, we're swimming in this day and age we live in. We're no long we don't long we no longer just have access to information. We're swimming in information. We're like in a constant ocean of information all the time. So uh, to be based in this day and age, especially, I think is a great compliment, right? And I try to be like that as much as possible, but you know, we all make mistakes. We all might say things that are not the best representation of reality, but I'm really having trouble finding people, any source of information that is that source of information. So it's like the best thing, like critical thinking is probably one of the best skills anyone can have in this day and age. And I think and that used to be something you would you would get classes on that in higher education. Now I believe like higher education has gone completely the opposite way of critical thinking, right? Because most of these completely new bizarre ideas are coming from that space, right? So it's
Well,
a very
I would
fascinating
say
age we live in.
well, I would say it's. I mean, the degree I call them degree mills. I mean, they're not they're not teaching critical thinking skills anymore
Not at all.
at a
See,
university. You know.
no, I mean they're it's basically indoctrination and dogma at this point.
Yeah. Oh, believe me,
It's
I've been trying to adjust to it lately at my new position, right? And I'm in the trade I'm in the trades faculty. So
yeah,
when I started in trades almost 10 years ago, there was no talk of I never thought there'd be a day and age where they would specifically bring woke culture into the trades wing.
yeah,
Um, so I was a little bit taken aback because
yeah, man. It's not. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like you can't say that every single talking point and idea within woke culture is bad, right? It like I'm sure like I know the on certain topics and subjects they're making valid points. The thing is that the way they're enforcing it is through a regime of fear,
yeah,
and I would say that's the main that would be like the main crux, but but it's also packaged with so much ridiculous nonsense that you're basically taking away like the real value of your valid points, right? If you're an ideology, it's basically if if 50% of what I say is right on the money, right on point, but then the rest of the 50% is absolutely trash and garbage, and plus on top of it, I want to push the 100% of my values and ideas and principles through bullying and fear politics and all that. Like how do you expect this to be taken seriously? To a certain degree, like, yeah, we can see this type of wokeism kind of infect like all the various spheres of society, but are people sincere about like are people really sincere about it? No, on the contrary, it's probably festering a lot of fucking bullshit in a lot of people's minds. People that you would think are the most uh, agreeable to this are probably the ones that actually have the most real racial problems and homophobic and transphobic uh, and so on, right? It's people are using, you know, and a lot of people like sociopaths and psychopaths are probably just using this to fucking bully people and have a feeling of superiority over people.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely it's definitely come like I said in the last 10 years. It's definitely come around full circle, right?
Yeah.
That we actually I want to say there should be inclusions, but I also don't agree with special interest groups, right?
Hmm.
That's the thing that right that kind of chaps my ass a bit is that yes, yes, you can be included in trades, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you should have special treatment, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
So
equal opportunity, not equal outcome, right?
exactly.
You know, we're not going to lower the standard for one group, especially when we're talking about trades. We're talking about like like security. Like I know you're in the electrical space, right? So one bad mistake for the sake of inclusion or whatever can cause a fire, can kill people, you
Yep.
know, or can destroy millions of dollars of work, right? You're
Yeah.
building like a multi-complex, like an office tower or a mall or something like that, and there's like this huge mistake and no one knows where it comes from. I mean that can cost so much money to whoever. But even worse than that is, you know, if it creates an electrical fire. I don't know how common that is in your
Well,
industry.
honestly, it's like when I instruct or teach apprentices, and I've had quite a few apprentices
Hmm.
in my career, like more than five, probably closer to 7 or 10,
Okay.
and and it's really honestly about individual aptitude and
Yeah.
ability to take instruction and follow instructions and and then apply the knowledge, the theory, and then the application. Um, and what I'm teaching, what I'm really stress upon is competency and consistency across. Right, if you do the same thing the same way every time,
Yeah.
then even if there is a problem or you made a mistake,
Yeah.
someone will be able to check or see that mistake very easily. But
Yeah. Yeah.
if you just go off script and do it however the hell you want, and you didn't pay attention to the convention of black wire, white wire, return, that sort of thing, and you didn't like do your color coding properly or something like that,
Yeah.
or if you didn't actually follow the legal document that we follow in Canada is the Canadian Electrical Code. If you didn't if you didn't follow the Canadian Electrical Code, because it's a minimum standard, if you didn't meet the minimum standard,
Yeah,
then, in my opinion, you're not competent, and
exactly.
that is more important than special interest groups or whatever sort of gender spectrum
Yeah, I agree. Like
that you
if
come
for
from.
what yeah, exactly. If for whatever reason there was a minority that was light years ahead of say a white Caucasian male, right? If
Mhm.
say for whatever a lesbian Latina woman, and there was like many of them were the best ones on the job, you'd be you'd be preferring those people on the job. You wouldn't care about their skin color or their orientation or their sex or whatever, right?
Absolutely, yeah,
Like
exactly. It comes
you
yeah, it comes down to what you can produce and what what value, like what merit you bring to the job. So,
exactly. Exactly. It's just being you're judged based on your merit. Now, like don't
mhm.
get me wrong. I know in trades and in other industries, there's been outright discrimination, no matter what their merit is, right? So there's a value of like trying to minimize that type of discrimination in an industry or a workplace or whatever you want to call it, right? But it's then taking whatever past indiscretions a society or an organization or an institution might have had, and then flipping it completely to the other way, right? You always want to bring back whether are you still there, Bill?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Because I saw you disappear there for a second. The end goal is just to bring back everything to competency and merit, right?
Yep.
That's the only thing. So we don't want people that have a different color of skin or ethnicity or sexual orientation or whatever to be discriminated when they are competent. But at the same time, we don't want to bring in people because they have a different color of skin and give them a free pass on things when they are incompetent. I mean, I think that's a very based way, if I paraphrase you, based way of looking at things, you know?
Yeah.
And
It goes both ways.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
I have seen and I have trained and I've worked with both sides of the spectrum, female, male, in between. It really does count. It comes down to like your basic work ethic, your trainability, and do you follow instructions, and do you do consistent work that can be verified to the letter of the code. That's basically what it comes down to.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, and I think maybe some of the reason why people are pushing back, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like for someone like you might be pushing back on that, is that you've never really had any animosity towards various cultures or orientations and stuff like that in your heart prior to this uh, woke takeover, if you will, right? Like I've known you for 11, 12 years now. Before this was like an issue, like people didn't have these conversations before about this constant these constant discussions about race and sexism and all that. I mean, it was there, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is today. Now, like identity politics is part of everyday culture, no matter where you go. So it's frustrating for people that have never felt that type of animosity towards various these various isms, if you will, be again, be them race, orientation, sex, and gender, and all that. It's very like you've always been based looked at things based on someone's merit, right? You never
That
had it's like you were
that
never like the type of person like, oh, this person is a black man, or this is a woman, or this is that. You were never judging these people based on that, right? So it must be frustrating for you that now there's this new type of considerations that you have to make, because it's almost like presumed or assumed that you do have uh,
well, it
those
take
this
it yeah
discriminatory
it
ideology within you, right?
it takes the posture that I'm automatically the bad guy from the get go. You
Yeah,
know,
and you
I
have to
that
be rehabilitated.
yeah, or that I must be um what do they call that? A male ally in feminism. Like you know what I mean? I have nothing against people for feminism, except that in today's society it's been taken to the extreme where it actually pushes back the other way automatically without
Yeah,
without giving consideration to my previous inclinations.
yeah. It automatically assumes, like it just like you said, that you're the bad guy, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, that can be frustrating to a lot of people. Like I've always uh, like when I started becoming more and more aware of this this ideology, and the pervasiveness of it through all this the various spheres of society. I'm like, I've always considered myself a classical liberal. Your Bill Maher's, your Joe Rogan's, your Dave Chappelle's, right?
Mm.
And I've always considered myself like in that type of category of person, with my views on these various topics. And as the years progress, like I started noticing this trend like probably in 2012, 2012, 2013. But I started really seeing the the pandemic style of these ideas like probably in 2015, starting to really ingrain themselves in society. And in 2000, since 2016, it's just skyrocketed even more. And it seems to be growing at an exponential rate to the point that it's like everywhere now, right? It's everywhere you look at. It was like very niche before, like education, certain networks and all that, but now it's everywhere. And
I
and I think
yeah.
my point is that you're taking you're trying to say that people that are more left to than the center are bad people also, and they have to be re-educated and retrained to be active members, to be productive and upstanding members of society, which is absolutely insane. Who the fuck are you guys? You guys just like appeared on the scene a few years ago, and now you're trying to deconstruct and tear down all of societal values that have given rise to, objectively the best state humankind has ever been in, right? Like if you look at
There's
Steven
no
Pinker, right?
okay.
Steven Pinker, he's written a book and he's caught a lot of flack, by saying that objectively human beings across the board, even in the worst countries in the world right now, are doing light years better than human society as a whole, even if you just rewind 50 years ago, be it all the metrics like crime, poverty, starvation, disease, general access to like just having access to all kinds of technologies and stuff like that. Objectively, human beings have never been better. Like all the other metrics, like sexism, racism, and so on, has never ever been better. And people are trying to make us think that we're like living one of the worst stages of society when it comes to all these metrics.
If you were to plug into CBC radio, you'd think we were living in the caveman days or something.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah,
you know, it's yeah, it gets a little frustrating after a while.
yeah. Yo, 10 years ago, LGBT people weren't allowed to get married. Like gays and lesbians weren't allowed to get married. Uh, now we're now that's only 10 years ago. Now that's such old news that you know no one even flinches when shit like that is talked about. And now we're having debates if we should like be injecting hormones in 5, 6, 7, 8 year olds that might have had a day where they're like, oh, I think I'm a girl, mommy, or vice versa,
Or
right?
or in California now, if you're a retailer for child's toys, you have to have both boy, girl, and neutral.
Yeah, yeah. Like they're taking away like boy and girl sections and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff like that. I was talking about with a friend yesterday about, and this is an older story, maybe within. I think I read the first time I read this article was about a year ago or something, about this BC man that got arrested for not recognizing his teenage, I think it's a daughter. Like, so I don't want to butcher like the information, so I don't want to put out any false information. But he basically went to jail for not wanting his daughter to become to have hormones and stuff like that.
Okay, didn't want his daughter to transition.
Yeah, exactly. With hormones and stuff like that, or son to female or daughter to male. Again, it's a little bit, but there is an article. I can send it to you if you want to put it. You can if you want to put it in the description, and you can let the viewers decide what they think about that law. But it's pretty crazy. So like, if you're a parent, essentially, like the gist of it is, if you're a parent and uh, your kid uh, is questioning their identity, their gender, and all that, you not going along with them to transition, including like pumping hormones into them, is a crime, and you can get locked up for it.
That
Which,
that's what I was. That's the erosion of traditional values. That I think that's what we've lost. There
yeah,
are
man.
no
I
there,
mean,
there are there are no traditional values left.
well, I won't even say values. Like traditional values, I've never been like this guy that's like, oh, traditional values. I'm not the guy that's like, oh, I had to be married by a certain age and then have kids, and maintaining the family structure is essential. If not, you're a failure. I mean, if someone was anti-traditional, it's definitely been me. But I mean, we're not we're going beyond the destruction of traditional values. We're breaking down language and reference points, right? Like the idea of you're a boy and you're a girl is being deconstructed and being destroyed for a very very small minority of the population, like a 0.1% of the population. Look, when you're a kid, you're somewhat of a blank slate. Besides the very limited experiences you've had, your and your genetics. So basically, a kid is taking whatever is around in their environment and what's innate to them, and using those little pieces to construct their identity. Well, one of the main things a kid has to construct their identity is their fucking genitals, right? And the biological fucking conditions that come with that. I mean, that's how you build. That's how you build a biology. Like, we know for a fact that men have a little bit more uh, ambition and aggression and stuff like that. That's why men are a lot more oriented towards sports or other. And of course, there's always these. It's a spectrum, but as a whole, boys are naturally going to gravitate towards certain things more than women, and vice versa, right? I mean, do you think like these multi-billion-dollar companies were tailoring toys or activities or and stuff like that to try to mold kids into society, to a certain stereotype in society? No, they just, whatever they knew was going to catch the attention of their market, they're going in the path of least resistance. They knew that boys wanted to be cowboys and pirates and stuff like that, and they knew girls wanted to fucking take care of little babies and imitate their mothers. It's not like this society that was necessarily forcing that onto them. It's just it's the path of least resistance. On average, most people would follow that. I never felt pressure that I needed to get a He-Man, a He-Man sword or GI Joes and Transformers when I was a kid. I was 3 years old and I was absolutely obsessed by all that crap, man. I was like I would throw tantrums if my mom wouldn't buy me a fucking GI Joe or like a play gun or whatever. I wasn't brainwashed to fucking. On the contrary, my parents probably wanted me to tone that shit down, right? No, it was innate inside of me. It was this this innate genetic thing that pushed me to want those things. I didn't choose to want those things when I was 3 years old, right? I didn't show, since I'm a boy and I got a penis, I'm gonna want what I need to do is want the He-Man thing and the GI Joe thing, right? So to now deconstruct that gender identity is a complete societal construction, which is the postmodernism view, is ridiculous, right? Like, our society is constructed via the base material that's within the human species, which manifests itself slightly different between the sexes and all that. And then culture will, yes, society and culture will mold certain, might tone down certain aspects, exacerbate certain aspects. So I mean, there is a little bit of validity in all that, but all in all, people need to shut the fuck up and take
Yeah,
take a chill pill, man.
yeah.
Seriously.
They gotta take the Dave Chappelle attitude and just be like, yeah, I like
Yeah,
cancel culture. It's good for business.
yeah, yeah. Like,
you watched
supposedly
the
there.
you watched the special though, right? I didn't watch
Oh, I did, man. Like but it's like, it's big news, right? But almost every special now for the last 3 4 years, every special that Dave Chappelle comes out, it's like the same outrage and you know I this guy pokes fun at every single fucking facet of society,
Yeah,
and
he's like no holes bars. Like it's to the it's he's so discriminatory against everything that it can't not be. It's like not discriminatory. If that makes some
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
If
exactly.
you're making fun of all of it and the fact that it's making fun of itself, then is it really discriminatory? I don't think so.
Well,
But
first
it's
of all, they're fucking jokes. They're fucking
well
jokes,
that
and if you
exactly yeah exactly.
exactly, and if you listen to his special, he talks about his relationship with a friend of his that was a trans person that actually killed themselves when they actually defended Dave Chappelle because of prior stuff, prior frustrations from the trans community, and I think and it's not only the trans people. I mean, I think it's funny that if we just take so like religion for instance, you'll have a Catholic that's going to be in a comedy in a comedy show, and they'll laugh at some of the most darkest, gruesome fucking jokes there is. But as soon as it touches home, and the comedian will talk about like the Catholic religion, or whatever, they'll throw like a pedophile priest joke in there. Well, or a pope joke or whatever. Now it's completely unacceptable. So you're laughing at the so-called misery of all these other groups and all that, and you thought it was really funny. And as soon as it touches your little world, your little bubble, it's unacceptable at this point. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not saying anything new here. Many comedians, I love comedy myself. I follow a lot of them. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of their experience right there. Whenever they get complaints or whatever, they get a lot of fan mail saying, "Hey, I loved your comedy before, blah blah blah, but this joke here about this particular group is unacceptable." Well, shut the fuck up, man. Shut the
Well,
fuck up. You're
it
laughing at
comes
all this other shit, dead babies or whatever. And now, oh, because I made a little joke about your little group, now it's unacceptable. Shut the fuck up, man. Put your head
well.
up the ass. If you don't like it, don't watch it anymore, and that's it, man.
Well,
Seriously.
it comes back to the special interest groups again, right? It's
Yeah.
everybody's screaming for special attention. Well, guess what? Just like Chuck Palahniuk says in Fight Club, nobody's special. Okay, you're not a special little snowflake. We're all just decaying
Chuck
organic
Palahniuk,
matter.
that's the author of the book Fight Club.
Yes, Chuck Palahniuk is the author of the Fight Club.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember his name, but
And like that and that book is about like a lost generation of men. That's what that book is about.
yeah,
It's about the men that grew up in fatherless homes with single mothers, and then they just didn't have much manhood at the end of the day. So it's I don't know, like
it's a fascinating. I haven't read the book, but I did see the interview with Chuck on Joe Rogan,
mhm.
and the movie. Of course, I must have watched like 10 to 15 times. To me, it's such an iconic movie, and it really it when you look at that movie and that book in retrospect, because this was created in the late 90s, right?
Yeah. And if you were to put that into woke culture today, that'd be like, oh, that's toxic masculinity.
Oh yeah, and I've actually read articles about how they talk about it as toxic masculinity and all that, but
It's like no,
essentially,
the trial by the tribe has been traditionally how men became man
yeah,
in throughout all other parts of history, right? In order to go become a man, you had to go through a trial by your tribe,
yep,
whatever that trial was, right? If you had to go slay the wolf or fight the bear or whatever you had to go do,
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Spend like a month away from the tribe, alone in the wilderness, or and
Yeah.
survive and so on. Exactly. Like men, I heard a saying a long time ago when I was a kid by reading a book, and it went from, this is actually from a Quebecois author, so it's a French book,
Mhm.
and I think the chapter started, women are, men need to be created, and
Yes.
that was actually, so that was the introduction of the chapter, and the chapter delved, very much into the point you're making, where men, uh, typically men, especially before, but it almost seems innate, means kind of like a rite of passage
Hmm.
to be considered a man, right? They have to go through certain trials and tribulations to be able to have that title, of a man. And yeah, society definitely has,
Well,
anesthetized, if you will,
well,
that,
we live in a weak man society now.
oh,
That's
definitely, man.
it's blatantly clear.
Man,
You know.
when I play with my friends, online, video games like Fortnite and so on, I have a simple alert now. So, like, something, if one of my friends is being like, too weak with a woman,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll put it on here. Hold on.
Okay.
I just think, I just think it's funny, but hold on, where is it? Hey, where? Oh, there it is. Let's just,
Sorry.
so,
What it suck? Suck?
no,
What?
simp.
Oh, simp. Oh yeah, simping.
Yeah.
Yeah, quit fucking simping, you fucking soy boy. Sit. We that's what we gotta do. We gotta start like getting like some like sound effect shit going on this podcast.
Yeah, 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 for sure. So,
We got a
so
simp alert.
yeah, yeah. So basically, I mean, like, we weren't even planning on talking about this topic, but man, Jesus Christ, like these OnlyFans,
Oh God.
these streamers on Twitch, these female streamers and all that, that
Mhm.
just, they have ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good female streamers out there that are putting like some quality content and stuff like that, and some of them happen to be sexy, and might use that a little bit to their advantage, and that's fine in my opinion, as long as you're putting good content. But you have like these women that are doing
Wow.
such
Did
ridiculous vapid bullshit, and you have these simps that are emptying their bank accounts and their wallets for these women in the hopes of getting their attention, and just being used and abused by these women. And it is so prevalent and common. I mean, simps have always existed in all societies. A lot of people think it's a newer word. Uh, I've known about this word like since the '90s, right? It's prevalent in hip hop culture and shit, right? Like, a simp is a weak man. Basically, he'll do anything to get the attention of a woman, and will basically lose all their self respect, uh, for that attention. And that's definitely a sign of weakness. But I think there's always been some of those. And but if we go back to Fight Club, I think, because I'm older than, a lot of people, but I'm not that old. And I grew up in the age of when divorces became more and more common. And I grew up in a single mother household myself and all that. And but it's true, like, you're having women, that are often bitter,
Yep.
towards men, trying to instill their values in their sons, right? And then we have a society that encourages you to build your identity on how much money and the possessions you have, and that was the point of Fight Club, right? It's like in the beginning where the guy's like, "Oh yeah, trying to construct my identity by the various IKEA furniture I have in my luxury condo, right?" And 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 basically, you have these men that still have that desire and that urge to be with beautiful women and be part of their lives and share and fuck love and so on. But then they have no way of they're just following their programming of, oh, this is how you have to be in society and this is how you have to be to get those women. But it goes against both biological urges. On the woman's side, women don't want like weak men, like nice guys, and men are not naturally these weak creatures that are gonna destroy their self respect to get what they want in life. Men typically, if you're going to be a successful man, even today, you have to take risks. You
Well,
have to be willing to suffer and sacrifice certain things to be able to get to achieve your goals, right? So
burden of performance.
exactly. And women, like, and that's the thing, because women today are still like this. They're still following their biological urges of,
Hmm.
they typically, and there's always exceptions to that, but women are waiting at the finish line for the winner. They're not in the training room saying, "Oh, this guy has potential. Let's see uh, if this guy. I think this guy might make it." No, they're at the finish line and say, "Okay, this
And
one lost, lost,
and
lost," and
yeah, and the other side of it is that society is trying to make women into shittier or equivalent versions of men, and it's just not possible,
yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
to paraphrase Stefan Arnio in his book "Strong Men Create Hard Times," then we have women that are like neurosurgeons or brain surgeons or lawyers, and they get into their 30s and they're looking to date up or marry up,
Yeah,
and there just aren't any men in their bracket anymore, right?
exactly.
Because
Their high expectations are they're pricing themselves out of the market, basically,
right, exactly,
right?
because and just like, and biologically speaking, by the time women are into their 30s, they're out of their prime biological fertility zone as well,
Hmm.
and that's not something that society is telling these women, back when they're 17, 18 years old either. They're saying they can have everything. Well, you can't have everything. You can only have what you truly want, right? And you have to make a decision what you want.
And even then, like you might always get what you truly want on top of that, right? It's yeah, this thing of follow your dreams and don't
Yeah.
settle
I,
and all that
I
is,
the whole passion culture. Fuck, I hate that so much. No.
there's valuable kernels of truth, and I think there's merit of, like, going pursuing your dreams and what you really love and all that, but just know that it's not a guarantee that you're going to make it. And and I mean, if you look at 90% of businesses out there, like billion-dollar, multi-million dollar companies and stuff like that, they're not based in fucking people's passions. They're based on real world real world solutions to real world problems,
Right.
right? The $1 billion septic tank fucking industry is wasn't built on people. You know what? I'm passionate about septic tanks, right?
No, it's
You
that
know,
somebody needs to store their shit somewhere. It's got to go somewhere,
yeah.
right? And
I
it's
think
like this is the solution that we come up with for it.
exactly, and a lot of times it's like you develop passion on doing something you don't necessarily want to do that much, but it's not like it's not such a hindrance. Like for instance, right? Uh, like if we take the septic tank dude, right? The guy, okay, he had to make ends meet. He became a plumber. He needed septic tanks a lot of times to vac out like crap and stuff like that. And then he saw a market. He's like, how about if I start selling these myself, like these services and these? I know the industry and all that. And he starts like say, He becomes passionate of being his own man, of being his own or woman, or being his own independent person, and he becomes passionate of like building something of his own, and that's where that passion comes to, right?
Mhm.
It's he becomes passionate of building something of his own in an industry that he knows he's competent in. You can become passionate about something because you see a progression of your competency in that area, right? That can create that. That's actually most of the time what actually creates passion, right?
Yeah, I would say it's better than going to a factory degree mill nowadays, in my opinion.
Yeah, you mean
Be-
universities?
yeah, it's like, again, I'm going to reference Stefan Arnio. He basically says that we've entered into the conceptual age. So the people who can create jobs and create opportunity are the people who are going to be the most successful in the society that we've now created, right? Just
Definitely.
rely just relying on a job or one source of income is not enough anymore. It just isn't.
Yeah.
We have to be entrepreneurial. We have to be enterprising. You know, be- uh, well, let's face it. I have done so many things since the age of 20. I can't even keep track of them all. I
Hmm.
just happen to be specialized in one area that I call electrical, because that's my primary focus and my primary competency. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I haven't expanded that to sales, marketing, understanding psychology. But I didn't have to go to a university. I can pick up those skills for $1.50 in late fees at the public library.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Or for free on Google, man. Man, seriously, I've
well,
myself, I've explored multiple avenues myself, and you know, I'm even like various industries. Like as you know, I'm in the transportation industry. I'm also in the IT industry. I'm heavy into trading, be it cryptos and the classical markets, the stock markets and their derivatives like futures and options and stuff. And and I've learned everything. I've invested some money into education, like in trading. I've invested on various products and in education services and stuff like that. I must have invested, at least on my own dime, like 5, 6 grand or whatever.
yep,
But definitely, definitely a lot cheaper than a degree in finance that would cost me like over 6 figures over time after 3, 4 years, and would not give me any real world experience in the actual markets that I trade in, right? Like some of the best strategies I've picked up were actually on YouTube, right? There's a lot of crappy strategies for trading on YouTube, But if you're able, the more you learn. I've read a lot of books. I've had training. So with the training I had, it gave me a good basis to kind of be able to detect if something is bullshit or not.
Mhm.
And
Well,
I it this is this is uh, this is going beyond the means of education. The transportation industry, as you know, I've made a pretty lucrative living with that. It, my education with that is some YouTube videos, Google searches, and a $300 course after I did all my initial research. Applied my real world experience in sales and marketing, and voila, I've made well over six figures with by working at home in my pajamas if I want to. So yeah, the educate. I was talking about this with my wife yesterday, and how it's such a scam. Like if you look at places like Germany,
mhm.
their education is free,
Yeah.
but just like we were talking about in the beginning, it's a meritocracy. It's not about it's about the grades you have. And speaking of which, this is actually something I wanted to talk about. Like in New York, in the public school system, they took away Mail de Blasio on his way out. He eliminated all the gifted and honor student programs and stuff.
So there is no distinction. There's just a participation badge.
Pretty much. So basically, the reasoning is because in the school system,
Mhm.
um, there's like I think 1.5 or 2 million students in the New York public school system, and 70% of it are Black and Latino. But when they look at the school, the gifted and honor students and all that, 70% of those, or 75% of those, are Asian and white. So because of that disparity of inequality of outcome, well, now they want to get rid of that in the hopes of being, by taking away their opportunity, they might be able to give that opportunity to everyone and lift up the bottom, right, instead of just lifting up the top. But that doesn't work, right?
No,
That
that's just shifting the bell curve in a sense, the percentile
Yeah,
curve.
exactly. That just doesn't work. I mean, uh, in education, SATs are being taken out of the equation, but there's always this moral excuse of doing it. But seriously, it's probably way more financial reason to do that,
Mm.
because the quality of education is going down.
Oh
Values
yeah.
of diplomas, of even legitimate diplomas like engineering. We're not talking about like fucking garbage diplomas like fucking uh, liberal arts degree and shit like that. We're talking about like fucking engineering, medical diplomas and stuff like that. That value is going down because of your diploma is going down because more people that are not necessarily apt to have those diplomas, they're lowering the standard so people can have access to it, when it was a lot harder to be able to
Yeah.
achieve a diploma like that.
Now
So
now that
you
yeah, now that I'm back, but now that I'm actually instructing, like this
yeah,
is something I'm like vehemently against. Like I'm
exactly. And you're in like you're at a university, but it's still trades, right? Which is a
yeah.
lot more black and white than something as ethereal in a sense than fucking women's studies or liberal arts or whatever. Which I'm not saying they absolutely don't have value, but let's be real. Those studies are not worth fucking
The
a
paper that they're
year's
printed the
like a
paper they're
middle
printed
class
on.
person's salary, a middle class person's year's salary, right? I mean, these kids are. I think the average student debt is 80 grand to
Mhm.
get their degree, and most of them are worthless. Most of them are worthless. So of course these banks and these financial institutions that are giving out these are loans you can't default on. They will put you in jail even if you go bankrupt. And I think Joe Biden though is doing something to forgive all these debts now, which, whatever your opinions are on Joe Biden, I think that's definitely something good. But yeah, why? Of course, their incentive. They can use all the moralistic explanations they want. Of course, their incentives is going to be, yeah, the more students we have, the more we can fucking give out these loans and make money. And hey, why not like decrease the fucking quality of the education? They owe us no matter what. They're basically our slaves. And you're asking fucking kids that are 17, 18, 19 years old to fucking make life-changing decisions that are going to follow them for some people all their lives, and some people at least like 10, 15 years of their lives to pay off that type of debt for most people. And you're asking these people because you have a society that's brainwashing them that to get ahead in life is to have a degree and so on. Instead, when the reality is, like, for someone that's in trades, you can earn a really good living in trades, right?
Yeah, you and there's so and that and there's so many different pathways. When I started my apprenticeship, I had no thought of becoming an instructor at some point. But
Yep.
I've been in it long enough that I've trained enough people, and I it's a natural fit for me for right
Yeah.
now. But will I still do side jobs or construction on the side? Yeah, of course I will.
Yeah.
It's just I feel that
Yeah.
I get the most benefit, and I think one of my strengths is teaching other people to do what I do.
Exactly. And you didn't have to go to university to get a professorship or whatever. Like you basically trained to be a competent fucking electrician, and now universities are hiring you to fucking teach other people. Right?
Mhm.
Trades. Like, look at the trucking industry. So if you look at like the the lowest on the totem pole on in the freight industry is the employed truck driver. So basically, the truck driver that doesn't have his own truck or is not leasing his truck to a brokerage or a trucking company, he's just hired by a trucking company and hired to drive the truck and go from point A to point B. It's a hard job. Don't get me wrong; it's a very hard job, and thank God we have them. But they're paid here in Canada. Like, I've got a few trucker friends. One of my friends, he's able to make 90 grand a year trucking, man. Like between 80 and 90 grand a year. That, like, I think the median income for Canadians is what, like, it's between 45 and 50 grand a year. I think the typical median income.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So then you got like owner operator. So this is a driver that buys his own truck, that leases his services to a trucking company or whatever. He might act independently under his own authority, or he might just work under a trucking company's own authority. But he can refuse any load he want, and then he works with brokers, like, so that's people like me that actually develop the business with these shippers and stuff like that. And as you know, that can be very lucrative. But this is just one industry, and there's a shortage of truckers right now in the U.S. There's 80, like, the U.S. should have at least another 80,000 truckers right now to fill the demand that's out there right now. And people are not picking this up because they think that to get ahead, you're not seeing many 20-year-olds looking for trucking jobs, but they could make a living way beyond the median living, even with people that have degrees, just by being a trucker, right? That ultimately you can have your own trucking company, and
Well,
you can make
that's what
really
my
good.
that's what my dad does. My dad's done that for over 30 years.
Exactly.
Uh,
You know, I never knew I was going to end up in the trucking industry, but it's a very essential and important industry. And I mean, there's so many trades, like so many of these kids that are going to university and coming out with useless degrees, and then they're a barista, at a Starbucks or whatever, until like they're 30, 35. You know, they they could do a course for a year and make like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 grand a year, man. you
oh
know
yeah, and the farther north you go, the more lucrative it becomes.
yeah, yeah. And in the US, I think it's the opposite. Like, you go to Texas and stuff like that, you have like some type of trade experience or certification. You go to Texas, either in the oil industry or in the construction industry, you're making bank, man. You're making bank for sure. Right? So, yeah, that's kind of the gist of the clown world order we live in.
Yeah,
You know, it's a discussion that could last hours or days, even nonstop. But
yeah, it often
I think,
does.
yeah, I think we've covered a lot of topics. But all in all, I'll say like Steven Pinker, and I mean, I have the luxury of being able to work from, just to do my business from home and all that. So yeah, I do. I'm very well aware of all this crap, but I mean, we've never lived in such a glorious time, in my opinion. If you're able to abstract away all this crap, I mean, what a crazy time. I mean, there's friends I haven't seen in years that, like, in the flesh, but that I talk to every week by playing video games and these worlds. Like, we're right now, we're like in the embryonic phase of the metaverse, right? Like, we're gonna
Metaver-
be.
the metaverse. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's gonna be a point, I think. If you I know you're familiar with the singularity theory,
I
right?
thought you
Where,
were going to bring up the singularity.
yeah. So basically, the metaverse is basically when we get to a point where technology and real life is completely overlapped. And
Symbiotic.
yeah, exactly. Like, you could all, and the reason why I say it's already embryonic at this point is that almost everything we do now has a digital form of medium. I mean, what we're doing right now is a there's a digital medium involved, right?
Oh,
We
it's like an analog data dump in a sense.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
The bit rate is just a lot slower than if I was directly wired into an actual computer network, right?
Yeah, or if you were in a big city, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Hey man, Whitehorse ain't that small.
What up? Whoa, whoa, whoa! Come on. On a positive note, how small is it, Bill?
Population wise, it's over 35,000.
Yeah, small.
No, that for me. That's big, man. Going from TR to 35,000. That's a life improvement right there.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I know. It's all a question of perspective, I guess, right?
I guess. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm you can take the boy out of the wilderness, but you can't take the wilderness out of the man. So
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, but yeah. Positive note. Like, what are some of the situations right now that you feel optimistic, not just in your personal life, yes, but also just in general, like the uh, the future of things, society, or culturally, or whatever.
well, I really think that at least for myself, like we're moving towards at least in the Yukon, they're moving towards more renewable or sustainable energy.
Hmm.
So I've got multiple irons in the fire, as John knows. I'm always, I'm pretty much always podcasting now, or
Indeed.
working. The potential up here to flip some real estate is pretty big.
Who
So
knew?
I've been doing
This this was a great surprise to me, folks.
yeah. So I've been doing some real estate investing, studying, uh, getting a coach, getting a few coaching calls, and I might
Interesting.
be doing some joint venture deals starting in the new year.
Nice.
Uh, and also, yeah, I was thinking, like, because there's a lot of government workers up here that have like contracts for short periods of time, so they don't necessarily work long periods.
Yeah.
Airbnb rentals is also probably a pretty good market to get into as well up here.
Okay.
Uh, Between that and four other podcasts, well, two other podcasts,
Yeah.
um, and then teaching full time and working towards getting my contractor's license. I'll have that by next year too. So
Yeah. So you'll legitimately be able to have a business in all aspects.
yeah,
Be completely independent with that, correct?
yeah, I can legally pull electrical permits and close electrical permits. It's all
Yeah.
hunky. It's all 100% legal.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, you can start hiring people and really
Yeah,
build
that's
something that's
that's
your
yeah,
own.
that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Reached out to the Yukon Energy Corporation. Might try to do some consulting work for them as well. So yeah, it's just generally speaking, like considering where I was a year ago, uh, in a completely different headspace, actually.
That's awesome. Yeah, and this
We're
year you tried you dipped your toes in a lot of different avenues that are were outside your comfort zone, right? New skills, you've acquired new skills. Um, you know, like you've talked about on the podcast before, sales and marketing and all that, which will just be additional tools in your tool belt
yeah,
to accomplish your goals
yeah,
and such, right?
yeah. I would, yeah. I'm not a traditional electrician by any means, and I don't define myself as such.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
Steph,
It's
if I was gonna put myself in one category, I'd say entrepreneur, uh,
yeah,
or private business with side hustles on
yeah,
um,
yeah,
which I said earlier. We're in the conceptual age, and that's what we're kind of rewarded for.
yeah.
Anything else? Anything?
Higher risk. Well, I'll. I think I'll go on the positive note myself. Plus, I haven't been on this for on this show for a while, so um, yeah, myself, like in 2020, I had like my own personal hiccups that kind of translated in various spheres, including business and my life and so on. And 2021, a lot of kind of the same thing, stepping out of my comfort zone, trying new skills and new industries and all that. And but ultimately ultimately I feel that I'm at home in the freight industry and the IT industry. I'm more on the business development and sales side of things. But by by kind of stepping out of my comfort zone, going beyond just like the an industry that I've known, I went into the financial industry, and I've been in the IT industry prior, but this is enterprise sales, sales and business development. So it's a completely different caliber of client and people you need to talk to. So we're talking about CEOs, CIOs of multi-million and multi-billion-dollar companies. Without naming any companies, but we're talking about reaching out to companies that all most of the listeners have heard about, and some very big companies that are lesser known but are still huge. So it's definitely been a big challenge, and I would say still a challenge today. But it's worth it. It's kind of a new rite of passage, right? When you get to a certain level in life,
Mm.
I felt that I was actually too comfortable in the freight industry, and from taking a hiatus and having to go back into it and starting from somewhat scratch and rebuild a book of business, it's actually humbling, and it actually, but it's actually it made me feel it's like, wow, I know where I took this initially, and it really doesn't take a long time to have to kind of restart a lot of the processes and stuff. And I kind of respect and love myself more for all the work I did like many years ago to take it to where I did all the way to 2020, because it's definitely wasn't easy, and it kind of brings back the memories, and I'm like, wow, I know I'm going to make this IT thing. Uh, I'm going to bring this IT business to where I want it to be, also, but it's going to take me to the next level. So to be comfortable in two lucrative industries, and to have access to all the technology we do today, to be in a loving relationship uh, with my wife, and just seeing the end of this pandemic and all that. I mean, I know we still have a few bumps to overcome and all that, but all in all, I think we've, as a whole, as a planet, as a species, we're seeing the light at the other end, and I'm curious to see how we're gonna move on. Right? It's not all doom and gloom for me, for sure, on the state of culture and all that. I think we're in a very chaotic transformational stage, but I am hopeful that you know these large pendulum swings are going to are going to start recalibrating, and I think we might see a golden age in our lifetime. So
And
I think
Bitcoin to the moon.
Bitcoin, Cardano, because I hold a bit of Cardano, and yeah, I'm looking to cash it out soon. I'm already in a pretty good profit, but yeah, crypto to the moon, man. Crypto to the moon, because that's definitely a technology that's causing a lot of waves and can transform a lot of the problems we have today into better problems down the line.
Non fungible tokens.
Yeah, yeah, NFTs. Well, I mean, like if you're in real estate, NFTs, man, that's probably going to be a huge part of the future of real estate. Being able to develop contracts, real estate contracts, and stuff like that through non fungible tokens, which are basically contracts and stuff like that, um, where you don't have to go through banks and all that to settle real estate situations and stuff like that. I mean, the applications are endless. Uh, with all these projects on the horizon here. So it's going to be very interesting times. Yeah, essentially me, a lot. I don't even really care if it's glorious or not, dark or light. I just want the future to be interesting.
That's a good way. That's a very Taoist outtake on it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like,
Dark or light, we'll take it as it is.
to be honest, like this clown world order, as much as it can bring out like what the fuck is this, and a little bit of cringe and outrage, and even sometimes and exasperation. I think it's interesting, right? We're talking about it, and you know, I think we're so comfortable that we need things to bicker and fight about. And hopefully, all that, what that does is the fire that kind of molds something brand new down the line that's better than it was before. Yeah. So, all right, all
Guess we'll
right, all right.
well, I guess we'll sign it off.
Yes,
This has
sir.
been Will S with the Doomer Bloomer podcast.
And
Resurrection
your
of John Wynn.
yeah, and your sporadic host, John Wynn.
All right, guys. Remember to check us out on all our socials at the Doomer Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We do not have TikTok. Do not invite that Chinese virus onto your phone. All right.
Definitely
Cheers.
agree. Cheers.